Hi, Bahamas. It's been a long minute since I did a broadcast. I know it's kind of late. I thought it would still be appropriate. I was late in getting home, but nonetheless, I am here now. So I hope you bear with me. If you could appreciate it, you would share. This is very, very important for us on Grand Bahama, the community of idiots. You'll understand as we get into this broadcast. What do I mean by that? A community of idiots. I know it's a nice topic that is chosen, but in the appropriate time, you'll understand why. Uh, I'd appreciate if you share it, whether you're watching the video now or in the future. It's important because this conversation must be had. We are in a period of silly season, absolute silly season. Is this a sub silly season that we're experiencing? I don't know. I'm trying to understand it too. But essentially, here, what I'm coming here tonight for is I'm seeking an apology. Not the apology is not coming from me. It's going to come from some individual or an individual in the public domain. The apology is not for me personally. It is for the community of Grand Bahama. I know a lot of you are going to ask the question. You're going to say, C. Allen, you started out saying a community of idiots. What do you mean by that? You have to ask the question that you must say to yourself, C. Allen, why would you consider us, Grand Bahama, especially West Grand Bahama and Bimini, a community of idiots? It's not me. I guess you'd be based on what you do. There's a concept. I'm hoping that you share this information, share this as we wait. I'm just sharing this to a couple of people I know that I think is important for them to watch it. So just bear with me a second while you share the video. I would appreciate it. Okay. There's a concept that I want to talk about, and it's basically a lot of people call it the bystander effect. Okay. Now, what is the bystander effect? It's a form of apathy, and it's a social psychological theory that states an individual's likelihood of helping someone else or intervening or saying something in an emergency situation decreases as the bystanders around that environment goes up. Now, why is this a bystander effect? Because I've been one of those bystanders for the last 2 weeks. Keep thinking that someone else will help. Let me repeat that. The bystander effect is actually it's a social psychological theory where individuals' likelihood of intervening or getting involved in a particular situation decreases as more people is watching and observing because they keep thinking that somebody else will do something. Somebody else will say something. Many of you know me as a community, civic, social, political, environmental, religious, human rights advocate. I've been for 2 decades of being home. We've fought a tremendous amount of battles, not just here on Grand Bahama, but throughout the Bahamas on behalf of people. Those who know what I do know that I don't need the accolades of television and newspapers to know what I do. I don't do it for that. I do it because I want to. I've helped people with government services. I've helped people with navigating foreclosures. I've helped people with personal relationships. I've helped people in financial crisis. I've helped people in suffering from social impacts that fall through the social safety net, abuse, victim abuse. I've advocated for the environment. I've fought against Bahama Rock. I've fought against expansion in Mayaguana. I've fought against the individuals that wanted to contaminate Andres. For 20 years, you guys know me as the originator, 20 plus years ago, that brought the conversation of natural resources to the Bahamas, to the conversation. You know, I got people all the time saying they've been doing this for 25 years, 30 years. I know all of the advocates. I taught them all. Let me repeat. I have taught them all. I've expanded their knowledge on what our resources are. I told them what it is, what it can be done, how it can be utilized, and even in circumstances when I start talking about, and individuals could remember. I want people to remember this. When McDonald's was on Grand Bahama, I came home with a conversation concerning natural resources and seagrass, carbon credits. When environmentalists in this town, and I've done a show with Michelle Malcolm and two noted environmentalists who acknowledged that when I began talking about this, they are a top-notch environmentalists, and name brand environmentalists in this country, said that they thought I was a little off my rockers when I started talking about this thing about carbon credits and saving the environment and how it's all going to affect us into the future generations to come, that the imminent danger the Bahamas will face. Carbon credits. I talk about seagrass. I talk about sea marshes. I talk about the mangroves. I talk about the crystal caves, the blue holes. Did I mention aragonite? Okay, if I didn't, you know, that seems to be the limits of people in our country on salt and aragonite and now carbon credits. Well, there's about 125 natural resources in the Bahamas. And I am an advocate for the preservation and environmentally safe exploitation of them. We are going to have that conversation because I'm going to begin to broadcast regularly. First, for the next 3 weeks, I want to talk about the by-election and what is happening in our country as far as the economy goes. We are facing an existential threat, an economic existential threat, as well as an environmental one with global warming and climate change. We're going to have a conversation on exactly what aragonite is and how it can be utilized and how it can be exploited. Don't mind the noise in the marketplace. There are plenty of midgets with megaphones. I've listened to them all. My dear friend, as close as I can, I introduce him to the advocacy arena, Kendall Colebrook. I gave him the name that most of you affectionately knew him as, KCX. I gave him that name. He gave me the name, the Great One. And those who are close to us knows exactly how close our relationship was. The only thing we didn't share was intimacy in our sexual nature or his wife or my wife or whatever y'all want to think, but that's how close we were. His family was my family was his. Rarely that we go more than a few days without speaking to each other. We were known wherever we go, from WTO to the environment, as the two assassins. We know him as the WTO assassins and everything else, because we go in prepared and double team. I miss him dearly because he was genuine. Not the make-believe, not the midgets with megaphones who claiming they did this. I got people who claim they were doing things about the environment and technology and these things before these things was discovered by people with the PhDs and studies. They have been doing things before the technology exists, but they need to authenticate who they are because they have nothing else to say. Have you heard someone explain to you exactly what a Aragonite is? Except that we could sell it, we could dig it up, we could sell it and make plenty money, make plenty money. Yeah, you could sell your heart, you could sell your liver, you could sell your lungs, you could sell all those different things. But where would you be afterwards? Like again, I said 125 that I know about. I'm not going to mention them here so people could repeat them, but we are going to go step by step through them. That goes beyond aragonite, that goes beyond mangroves, that goes beyond carbon credits, our sea marshes, whatever it is that we want to somehow talk about. But there's a point in that because there are some people who have literally made a name for themselves incorrectly stating the exploitation of our resources. Let me say, I am absolutely for exploitation of our resources. I believe that in the immediate effect that we should establish a sovereign wealth fund. Let me just say, the sovereign wealth fund bill that was passed by Hubert, no, I think it was Perry Gladstone Christie, garbage juice. Garbage juice. I think whatever amendment or one passed by Hubert, or maybe it was proposed by Perry Christie, but proposed by Hubert Minnis, garbage juice. The one today, garbage juice. They are not sovereign wealth fund, except in their names. A sovereign wealth fund is a standalone holding company that seeks to put all assets, known and unknown, seen and unseen, tangible and intangible, into a protective custody for all behemoths, born and unborn, well into the future. Not a sidebar. I heard a bunch of you screaming, but oh, I want some crown land and this and that. I want you to imagine that we have 400,000 behemoths today, and we have 2 million acres of crown land, and eventually give it all away, and most of you will lose it because you will say, I want to use it as collateral. Well, good ideas don't need collateral. We're going to talk about that too. Because as we begin to have this conversation of what Grand Bahama need, we're going to have the conversation on what's now, what's new, and what's next, on the economy, on what is best for Grand Bahama, not the political parties, but policies. See, leadership, when you go to the House of Assembly, purpose is legislation, policy, procedure, processes, and programs. Let me go over that again. When you send a person to Parliament as a member of Parliament, their primary duties is creation of laws, legislation, policies, programs, procedures, and what's the other one? It slipped from my mind, but it's programs, procedures, and policy. I think there's a fourth one, but I mentioned we'll get to it, right? But that's what their job is. A member of Parliament job is not to pave your roads. A member of Parliament job is not to patch your house. A member of Parliament job is not to find you a job. It's meant to create an environment for you to be empowered, for you to find your own job. A member of Parliament job is not to pave roads. We have a whole department that we spend millions of dollars doing. It's not to clean up the parks. It's not to remove derelict cars. It's not to do any of those. The primary purpose of a member of Parliament is to create policies or legislation, policies, procedures, programs, and oh boy, it's here to build people. People build schools. People build businesses. People build homes. People build roads. People build docks. People build each other. If they are not doing that, then they have done you and I and the country an injustice. We must have a conversation to ask, what have we been doing for 50 years? You know, if you begin to look at for the last 50 years, let's go back to 1973, we had a population of 200,000 Bahamians and a GDP of $600 million. Today, we have a population that has doubled to 400,000 people. Our GDP has went from 1973 of 600 million to $16 billion, formal and informal economies. $3 trillion worth of trade in our country. Yet, guess what? We own less homes, less cars, less businesses, less of our country, less family, less of everything. How is it that we double in population? If you double the GDP, it'd be 1.2 billion, but we went to 16 billions, but we own less of our country. Something is wrong with those figures. No institution, you can't name a single institution that functions the way it should in a 21st century Bahamas. You can't. Not even national insurance. Nothing works. See, now, one of the primary reasons for that is in spite of our economic growth, we have a socialistic type government that has failed to add to or produce anything of value to grow its people. So we have not been able to build new schools. Our plantation, our education plantation, is rooted in the 20th century. We haven't really, in any pure sense, built a 21st century school. We are beginning the third decade in the 21st century, and we have yet to address 21st century principles. We are struggling with digital concepts. The first digital revolution began in 1981, and we're still struggling. Today, we are in the first, what they call convergence or interconnected revolution, second digital revolution, third technology revolution, the fourth industrial revolution, the fifth social revolution brought on by COVID changed the way we behave. And if you believe the environmentalists, we are at the sixth global extinction process. Interconnected revolution, digital revolution, technology revolution, fourth industrial revolution, fifth social revolution, and sixth extinction. Yet we are struggling with getting paperless documents in our government offices. We're struggling in having government websites that run an efficiency. We're trying to do things ourselves that people have mastered for decades and made billions of dollars. We're trying to duplicate Google and Dell and Facebook and Gmail and Amazon and all these different things. They already did it for us. And the reason I say that is because every time we hear government, we're doing some contract, we're writing some software. We got Fortune 500 companies running on these platforms. And the Bahamas is saying, you don't want Bahamians to do it? If they were prepared, I do. We could prepare them to build the world while we build the infrastructure needed to support it. I say to you, we have to stop pretending that we're doing okay. Success is not how well you're doing compared to how bad somebody else is. Success is how well you are doing based on what you are capable of doing. I'm not successful because at least I ain't like Bob, I ain't like Keith. No. Success is what is my capabilities and how am I performing to the level of those capabilities. That's how you gauge it. We are not performing to our capability and our competence. We have not created an environment, an ecosystem where our young, 60% plus of our population is born since 1981, and 70 to 80% of them that go off to universities never come back. Now, I want to believe that they haven't moved, I believe they are parked offshore, waiting for the environment to come back home so they could grow and thrive. We have not created that environment. Which brings up the subject of where are we today? Where were we yesterday? Who are we yesterday? Who are we today? Who are we tomorrow? Which now? Which new? Which next? Somehow we seem to avoid hard questions, intellectual debates, debates of ideas. We want to talk about what I think, what I feel, what I believe, what I was heard, what I was told. Very few people want to talk about what they know. You know, the Bible says, seek ye after wisdom. And that's a 3-step process. The 3 steps of that process is information. You have access to information right at the tip of your hands. The devices in your hand gives you unlimited access to information. Proper comprehension of information is called knowledge. That is what you want to begin with. You want to get the information, you want to understand it, comprehend it. Wisdom is the proper execution of knowledge. Not just executing knowledge, the proper execution. Seek ye after wisdom. And so now we are in the point of a by-election. I'm going to come back. This is more for Grand Bahama, but I'm talking to us Bahamians. But I'm going to come back to Grand Bahama because we're having this conversation concerning a by-election and how it will impact us as a country. How will it impact us in the direction we perceive we will be going now and into the future, well beyond the next election, to which some people peg this by-election to. It's about the decision you make today that affects you tomorrow and the day after. It affects the living and those to be born. We have to stop joking. There's an expression that says, when you're not preparing, the world is. And when they meet you, they will beat you. When you're not preparing, the world is. And when they meet you, they will beat you. And so some people say, this one must win the election and this one could win the election and all these different things. What we have to ask though, and I'm going to be asking after the nominations and I find out who is in it. So far we have 5 potential individuals who should be competing for the seat of West Grand Bahama and Bimini. And it's not West End and Bimini, it's West Grand Bahama and Bimini. 14 polling divisions, almost 6,000 voters. It is a representative of the second largest economy in the Bahamas. It also represents the largest settlement or population of individuals outside of New Providence. It also represents, we could say that we represent 1/8 of the population of the Bahamas. But at some given time, we may have been given as much as 25% of the GDP into the coffers. We are 1/8, but given 1/4 of the GDP contribution, or the taxes contribution to the government. We can get there and we will be better. And this is the conversation that we're going to have a couple times a week going forward. Because we have to embrace 21st century concept. We have to embrace the promise that has been made to us, one of owning this economy. But we can't get it from bullshit artists and liars. Now, let me be open and fair on this. A lot of people can't tell the difference between a bullshit artist and a liar. Here's the difference. A liar knows they are lying to you. A bullshit artist don't. It's who they are. You remember you had that friend, you go to them and say, man, I twist my ankle. And they go, yeah, boy, one time I twist my ankle and it was like, oh, man. And then you say, I slept late. Boy, one time I slept so long for 2-3 days. Some of them so into the bullshit artists that you say, man, I died once. He's like, shit, I died twice. Bullshit artists. They don't know. It's just a habit. It comes a fluid part of their nature. A liar seeks to deceive you for some reason or something else. Know the difference. We have a lot of bullshit artists in this country. maybe it's time we start calling them out. They may not even know. It's just part of their nature. And so we're going to move to this conversation. As I said, I came here seeking an apology for the community of idiots. And I say that unapologetically because some people think we are a community of idiots. Let's put a little bit more definition. I want you, as I just spoke about the bullshit artists, there's another subcategory or even twin to the BS artists, the narcissists. Many of those in our leadership, or those seeking leadership, can meet the definition. You ask yourself, what is a narcissist? A narcissist is a person who passes him or herself off as a competent and confident person. A narcissist passes him or herself off as a competent and confident person. The narcissist has the confidence of the competent without the competence. The narcissist has the confidence of the competent without the competence. So what they do is they overclaim their contributions, overpromise, and overdeliver. The narcissist has the confidence of the competent without the competence. They overclaim their contributions, overpromise, and overdeliver. Everything that goes wrong is somebody else's fault. Everything that goes right is because of them. They would loudly proclaim ownership of every positive occurrence and even said they said it before it was discovered to be so. Didn't you remember when I told you all this? I told you I was going to be this. I told you they was going to do this. I told you whatever else. Narcissists try to claim the reputational status without having to do any of the hard work to have earned the designation. They don't do anything for the reputational status they're claiming. For some reason, we live in a culture of political narcissism. We must get by this. Because if we keep accepting it, we will continue to get narcissists who feels they could fit in amongst us. And this has a point in my conversation of what's going on. And as I said to you, I came seeking an apology. I know, and I said that some people believe that we are a community of idiots on Grand Bahama. And those on Grand Bahama say, see, Alan, well, you're from Grand Bahama. Those who grew up with me said, but see, Alan, especially West Grand Bahama, you went to West End All Age School. You went to Hawksbill High. Yeah, you went off to university and the world and saw the world and everything. I mean, but see, Alan, we've had a prime minister from Grand Bahama. Yes, we've had a prime minister from Grand Bahama. Mr. Hubert Alexander Ingram, unless I'm incorrect, was born on Grand Bahama in Pine Ridge. We've had a governor general from Seattle, but we've had a governor general from Grand Bahama. In Seattle, we've had a deputy prime minister from Grand Bahama. In Seattle, we've had judges and magistrates and attorneys and notable doctors, not just here, but around the world. What do you mean we are a community of idiots? I mean, Seattle, we've had athletes that, regardless of the sports, basketball, male and female, and track and field, and everything else, golf, everything. What do you mean? We got talent. We have started businesses. We've owned international franchises here on Grand Bahama, Seattle. We've sat at the helm of Hutchison Whampoa Company, the shipyard, the container port. I mean, we've had hold positions in the container port. We've hold positions in banking, some of the top positions in the hotel industry. We have chefs that go around the world We have children that leave this ecosystem and the best in class in what they do around the world. We have people who sit on Wall Street in the top 100 of the world today. What do you mean that a community of idiots? I didn't say I did. I said some people does. Some people believe that we are a community of idiots. What do I mean by that? Well, in spite of our accomplishments of being able to do all of these things, the Port Authority, the Grand Bahama Port Authority in Freeport has almost 5,000 business. In the early years of Freeport, 10% or less were Bahamians. Today, 80%, maybe 90% of those 5,000 businesses are owned by Bahamians. We went from a population in Freeport of maybe 2,000, I think, or something people, to a high of 60,000 or maybe more, not counting the tourists. We built the infrastructure of Freeport, especially those of you from Turks Island. We thank you because you have came and integrated yourself into our communities, and I know you practically dominate the West Grand Bahama community. And a lot of people may not understand our history because we have failed to teach it. What is our history? What is the history of Freeport? How did it come about? How did we participate in making it what it is? It's more than the bend or break speech. It's our involvement where we're now owning the homes. I know the community of idiots now owns homes all over Grand Bahama. We own businesses all over Grand Bahama. We hold positions, not just in Grand Bahama, but all over the Bahamas. And our sister country, TCI. We've had premiers, and I think a deputy premier that grew up in the Bahamas. I mean, we have a person sitting right now in the current administration as chief security or technology officer in the United States, cyber security in the United States. We've had, I know of technicians that was involved with a computer company to release the first laptop. I was involved with IBM when the desktop, the IBM PC Junior and the precursor to the laptop, all was being developed and tested. I know Bahamians who was involved in what you guys now don't have to get off your sofa for the remote control and a host of other technological advancements. We've had Bahamians in the top of the game. Why haven't we as a country have matched that? And many of those individuals have come from Grand Bahama. We have local government, some of the top performers. We have had activists that's known around the Bahamas. But you said, but against the island, you asked for an apology. I'm asking for an apology from the Coalition of Independence, headed by Mr. Lincoln Bean, to the community that somehow they may believe it's a community of idiots. What do I mean by that? We are so stupid in this town that we didn't know there was no lights in West Grand Bahama. And the appearance of the Coalition of Independence magically had Genesis, I think it's Genesis 1:3, let there be light, and there was light. And it parted the darkness from the thing. Can you imagine that? Nobody saw the Grand Bahama trucks putting up those lights over those 2 days or week or whatever. They just, BAM! Appeared. We have local government and everyone else, and we are so stupid that we didn't even notice, or we just accepted there was potholes in the road, and we have not agitated, and we haven't even patched them in 20 years of local government. That's how stupid we are. We are so dumb, we didn't even notice. We didn't have an ambulance in West Grand Bahama. Mind you, these are all families, These are people that have sat in Grand Bahama and sat at in the head of the chamber and have businesses here and homes and world travel and world educated and running international franchises, name brand franchises all over Freeport. None of us noticed none of these things. We didn't notice the need for an ambulance. I guess we didn't even notice the need for a bridge into West End. Somebody might have done it. I don't know that we didn't notice all these things. We didn't notice that we had didn't have a government dock. But just to let you know, that government dock has been decommissioned, right? A government dock is not necessarily something the government builds. A government dock is essentially wherever the government designates. If I go and build a dock and the government agrees, it could be designated as a government dock. And there are people today that I'm well aware of have been working on a PPP to build a dock. But something that individuals who are foreign to this community may not know is that we have been in the middle of a conversation concerning a marine protected area for which they want to designate West End, the capital of Grand Bahama, so that we could have an understanding of it protecting the rights of fishermen and boaters and just people who use it just to go out, that this marine protected area protects what has existed for maybe 100 years in this community. So there's a reason why we don't have a dock in the immediate. But if you're not from this community, you don't know that. If you understand governance, and I mentioned it earlier in this, you would understand that what we don't have in our communities, not just in Grand Bahama, but across the Bahamas, is because of fiscal constraints of government, not just now, for 2 decades now. That's why we have an antiquated education system. That's why we have a medical system, a hospital system, healthcare system that is falling apart. That's why we have insufficient resources to man and protect our borders. That is why we have people that's not being paid or working at subpar pay, because we haven't built an economy. We haven't built a country. We've been jiving. We've been joking. And we got to stop putting people who jiving and joking that have no understanding of the 21st century, no understanding of the reality where we are right now that needs to grow. That's why West Grand Bahama and Bimini is important. It's about sending a message. We'll have a conversation concerning the candidates. One, Daquan Swan. One, Tennille Burrows. One, Kingsley Smith. One, Ricardo Grant. And one, Mr. Lincoln Bain. Tonight, though, Mr. Lincoln Bain, you owe West Grand Bahama an apology. You owe the local government practitioners. You owe the activists in that community, including myself. You owe the families and individuals who, based on almost like you're alluding, didn't even know that they have been suffering. Do you know that we are well aware of the suffering that they've had? Do you know when it started? No, you don't. But it makes good theatrics for you to come and showboat. I've saved y'all. I'm going to fix your roof. I'm going to employ every single one of y'all. I'm going to make sure you have a boat to go fishing. I'm going to make sure you'll have new houses and new cars and new everything. I'm going to make sure that you have a school. I'm going to make sure that you have a medical center. I'm going to expand the healthcare center. I'm going to build fire stations and police stations. By the way, there's a PPP that's being proffered to build the police station, which will make it a combination of police station, defense force station, dormitories, a fire station, and ambulatory care. I personally am aware of that being prepared to go to government. Because why? Because government don't have the resources. If you want to govern, then you need to know that which you seek to govern. It says, you cannot manage what you cannot measure, but you can't measure what you're incapable of comprehending. It sounds good to make promises. It sounds good to say things, but it should be in the context of reality. You owe us an apology. Those of us who have been in the trenches, who have been fighting for the roads, who have been fighting for the healthcare, who have been fighting. Do you believe that in your messianic complex that because you showed up in our community that you caused magically the lights to appear on those lampposts? Really? Do you believe that they patched the roads because of you? That they're actually going to open up the building that's not finished? Because one of the things you have to ask yourself, it's a political trick. I mean, you're taking credit for opening a building, or they opening the building because of you, for a building that does not most likely have a certificate of occupancy. So it's political pageantry. So you saying that you convince them that it's necessary for them to do political pageantry to make it believe that the building is open? Nobody can move in there. It's not finished. It doesn't have certificate of occupancy. Do you know the reasons why the school has not been finished? Do you understand the contract and legal processes that's been happening? Do you understand the legal? See, for those of us the real activists in this town, the real people who are very concerned about building the Bahamas and about building Grand Bahama, and we understand it's a process of education, a process of negotiation, and it's a process of lifting the bricks one by one, building and building. We're not going to let you come in here and because you saw the tree fell and nobody saw it when it fell, you take credit for chopping it down. It did not happen that way. We know about the process because we've been agitating for the lights. We've been agitating for the snake eyes, not just in West Grand Bahama, in East Grand Bahama. The snake eyes in the road, the luminescent paint so they can see, solar lighting all the way down to West Grand Bahama. These cost money, these cost resources. Grand Bahama has been struggling since 2001, the downturn of the global economy. To understand, Grand Bahama at one time used to call it a magic city. I think we had like 20 different hotels if you look at the different names that is function. In West Grand Bahama, we had Jakarta Hotel and we had hotels in Freeport. And in fact, the Hawkesbury Creek Agreement, for those who don't know, including yourself, actually said that we were going to be a hospitality destination, not just industry, as most people like to repeat. And hospitality carried part of this economy. That's what we enjoyed. The hotels and the flights and the casinos and those type of things. And I believe that they will be back because there's a new type of leadership that is taking hold. And the conversation starts now. There's a time and a place for everything. It's a process. For those of us that's aware, we knew we would be here today. In fact, many of us said we'll be here in 2025. What accelerated that was COVID and the push for technology advancement, including what you see today, artificial intelligence, and the various different aspects of technological advancement around the world that we don't have leadership that talks about it. You said from $150,000, Mr. Bain, you said from $100,000, you're going to buy boats, you're going to fix roads, you're going to fix the lights, you're going to fix everything. Well, you could save government a whole lot of money if you do. We take $150,000 per island or per community and give it to you because the government is spending $3 billion trying to do what you could do with your parliamentary or community contribution. See, this isn't a personal attack on you because, I personally believe that the coalition is not the coalition of idiots like Mr. Fred Mitchell says. I believe that it's a community or coalition of people that are ignorant of really what is. But we will have that conversation. We will not allow Grand Bahama to be a puppy show. We are looking for leadership. Leadership that represents our ideals, that represents our ambitions, that represents our ideas, that represents our desires, personally and collectively. You may not be aware, but there has been a movement of young people on this island that has been equipping themselves by first having access to information and seeking to comprehend it so they could say they have knowledge. Like when you go off to college or university, it's not instant. It's a process they've been going through. This process they have done. They are the digital vanguards. They are the environmental vanguards. They are the future of the Bahamas. Just like the PLP is saying right now that we need a transition. These young people also understand that power isn't given. It must be taken. And they come in for it. It's not a warning or threat for leadership. This is a for knowledge, for information. Yes, let you know what's happening. We don't need this. We don't want a shift. We need a shift in leadership. We need leadership, though, that is honest, open, competent, and capable of leading a people, not directing them or promising them handouts and whatever else. I'm going to be doing an evaluation of the political parties, their agenda of West Grand Bahama, promises, promises, promises. They said promises are comfort for a fool, but that has to meet two requirements. A promise is a comfort for a fool, or the person making the promise considers you a fool when the promise doesn't meet two things. You must have the ability to fulfill the promise, meaning that you should be able to explain to me in complete details on how you can achieve what you said you will. Okay? What happens then is that you have one. That's one. Sorry, that's one. You must be able to do it. So a promise is a comfort to a fool when the person lacks the ability and or the intent. See, if you have no intention, even if you have the ability, you consider a person a fool that you're making the promise to. So the person making the promises must have the ability and the intent. So we're going to look at these promises that's going to be made by the political parties, because you say you represent a political party. Mr. Lincoln Bain, you say we shouldn't trust political parties, but we should vote for one. Yours. I don't understand that. You say politicians are liars and thieves and everything else, but you seek to be one. I don't understand that. But I want to ask, as we go into this campaign from the FNM, the PLP, and the Coalition of Independence, who for the people? What, which for the things? When? Time. Where? For the places. Why? Let's hear your reasons. And most importantly, how? Who, what, or which? Some people say that. When, where, why, and how. Very interested in doing it. We're going to eliminate the bystander effect in this community. And I speak of community, not just West Grand Bahama, because we're interconnected. We work together. We live together. We move interchangeably between West Grand Bahama and Freeport, West End, and everywhere else. We are one family. We marry each other. We work with each other. We integrate each other. We are in Bimini. We are in TCI. In fact, because of the economic conditions, Grand Bahamians are all over the Bahamas and around the world. But we're going to build Grand Bahama because every single prime minister or aspirant since 2002 said on the campaign trail There will be no economic recovery for the Bahamas unless Grand Bahama thrives. There's no other place in the Bahamas that possess the infrastructure and capabilities that Grand Bahama do. We could absorb the entire population of New Providence on Grand Bahama in the shortest period of time and not even recognize that y'all are here. Freeport. Oh, Freeport is only 30 square miles smaller than Singapore. Singapore is 30 square miles larger than Freeport. Note I didn't say Grand Bahama, Freeport. And Freeport could fit into Grand Bahama, I think, 3 times. But Freeport is more prepared than Singapore was or is today when you take into effect the location. Yes, we've not had the proper leadership, but that leadership isn't coming. That leadership is already here on island. Unstoppable change, not just for Grand Bahama and West Grand Bahama, isn't coming. It's here. We're going to be talking about, and this is why it's important for us to choose the right leadership, because we're going to talk about digitization, we're going to talk about fractionalization, we're going to talk about tokenization, we're going to talk about securitization and various fintech and other techniques that allows Bahamians to own their economy, not through promises, through action. No country in the world has been built through socialistic attitude. Countries are built by industries that is owned by their citizens. And so we're going to talk about the need for that. And we're going to talk about the need for immigration reform because Grand Bahama needs it. West Grand Bahama needs it. So that should be an integral part of the conversation. Not that we're going to stop Haitians. What are we going to do to increase the intelligentsia that is needed to build a vision? Not screaming, what you need is a vision. What we got is a vision. We want to have those same W's and the H. Not just say it. We want to be able to understand it. We want the people around you to be able to explain it. We want your political party to be able to write it, right? Tell us what legislations are missing. Tell us what policies will be put in place, what programs, what procedures, what are these things that is done? Leadership can express these things, because they inspire people to buy in and to build. We're going to build Grand Bahama back. We're going to build back better with leadership. It starts now. I'm simply saying, back to it. We want an apology. All the activists, all the business people in this community that spent time, that took this city from just bushes and pine forests, working with the Hawkesbury Creek Agreement that was given to Freeport. By the way, for those of you who don't know, the Grand Bahama Port Authority is owned by Bahamians. I don't care what color they are. They are Bahamians. No ifs, ands, and buts about it. It is. We'll have that conversation concerning the Haywoods and the St. George's and what has to be done about Freeport so we can feel the effect in West Grand Bahama and West End, the capital, and by extension, Bimini, because we do have a need for housing. Going back to the 2001 global collapse, then we were hit by 3 hurricanes, including the twins in 2004, and multiple hurricanes since then. And we have never got to rebuild going back to the twin hurricanes. We still have roofs in distress. And I asked the Messiah, I know you brought us light. Where were you for the 20 years as we were thinking and adjusting and getting ourselves together to be where we are today, to be ready to take action? That we need you now to lead us into a promised land that you can't define. I'm insulted as an activist. I'm insulted for those local government practitioners who for 20 years, some of them have went on to governmental offices and senior positions in government and businesses who have done well with the little that has been given to them. You can't fix a problem unless you can define the problem. And you came in here and call us incompetent, inept, incapable, all of these things, because you had to do it for us in 2 weeks, because we sat on our butts for 2 decades and we didn't notice it. We didn't notice the deterioration of our island. We didn't even notice the deterioration of our communities, our homes, our lives, until you made it. You saw it, and you're going to fix it. You owe us an apology. The Coalition of Independence, individually and collectively, you owe us an apology. I'm disappointed with the number of people I've seen around the Coalition of Independence. They know what we have been doing in this community long before the coalition existed. In fact, the Coalition of Independence is feeding and standing on the backs of those individuals. Ask the drone operator who walks with you. We know the information about natural resources. We could explain how it can be exploited, but let me just go to that. A sovereign wealth fund takes all assets, known and unknown, seen and unseen, tangible and intangible, put it in a special fund. It does nothing else. Government doesn't have access to it. Government doesn't dictate to it, because government comes and goes, not in the sense that it continues. But we hire SAMs, sovereign asset management, experts in the field that understand the salt that we have. They understand the sand that we have, which is different than the variations of aragonites that we have, that understand the fresh water lenses that we have, that understand our shipping lanes and how it plays a role in international traffic, that understand our airways, that understand our mud, that understand our blue holes, that understand our seagrass, our sea marshes, that understand our fishery, that understands our geolocation, that understand the stromatolites, the oldest living, the first living creature to appear on the planet Earth is still located here in the Exuma Keys, that understands the crystal caves of Grand Bahama and Abaco that actually connects to each other underwater, that National Geographic says they could not put a value on it. That's how valuable it is. That understands our position in the world, not rhetoric, not empty promises that cannot be fulfilled. We are going to now have those conversations. I commit myself to that. Because if no one else speaks, I will no longer suffer by the bystander effect. Consider today the conversation's done. And so I'm going to ask again for you, Mr. Lincoln Bain, as you go about the community and recognize what you think is a new discovery. You know, don't be like Columbus, who came and met things and said, oh, I discovered it. We are well aware. We've had activists. You know, it's like, and you say, you know, the FNM and the PLP is corrupt. Do you know that practically everybody in the West Grand Bahama community is related? You're saying that every time they've had a member of parliament, it was their brother, their sister, their mother, their auntie, their cousin, their friend, their uncle who went to parliament. And you're saying that they're nothing but corrupt. That they were so stupid they went and gave away everything. And they making millions. And they're back with us, living amongst us, you know. We have members of parliament that still live amongst us. We have a governor general that still lives amongst us. We have members of parliament, Kenneth Russell, Lindy Russell, David Wallace, Pakeisha Edgecombe, Nico Grant, we help them. They still live here in this community. They were FNMs. They were PLPs. They were our brothers, our sisters, our uncles, our aunts, our cousins, our friends, our business partners. You see, for some reason, you say they were FNMs and PLPs, they're corrupt. Well, there's systems to understand that we could mitigate corruption and all those things, but we don't have conversations on them. Technology is one of those. We saw the use of technology in the FTX trial. I hope we could understand how powerful it is for anti-corruption, for transparency, for accountability, and all those things we've been calling for. The problem is we haven't had leadership that actually explain to people what those things really are and how they could come about. Once they understand, they can make those demands individually, and we can do so collectively of the various members of parliament. That is what leadership seeks to do. Not to dominate me, not to take care of me. Iceman, yeah, Iceman, I need you to take care of me. I need you to create the ecosystem. I need leadership to create the environment and get the hell out of my way. Iceman. There's plenty of men and women in this town that simply wants an environment for them, their children, and their grandchildren, born and unborn, to thrive. They want an opportunity for ownership of this economy. We've not heard that. We've heard that you're going to get some money. Just let me have one quick sidebar and ask you. There's 225,000 workers in the country. 80% of them probably make under $30,000. You see them every day in your food store, in your fast food, in governmental office, probably 80% of them in the governmental office. You see them in the airport. You see them in customs and immigration. You see them everywhere. Let me ask you a question. If I was to give every one of them $100,000, who runs the country? See, a sovereign wealth fund doesn't work for like that. A sovereign wealth fund, and I've seen you adjust as we have spoken. I've spoken to public and I've spoken public. It's about building a country. It's about building an environment. It's not about a giveaway. As an advocate for a guaranteed basic income, which is different than a basic income or guaranteed income, you'll have that conversation on the two. It's not a outright giveaway to every single person. You get this and you get that. We want to know how. That's the important thing. How do we achieve this? Don't tell me that because Burger King makes $1 billion a year selling burgers. Well, we can make burgers because Burger King makes $1 billion a year selling burgers. Ain't no reason why we can't make $1 billion. Well, a lot of people have tried. Well, Coca-Cola makes $1 billion, so why can't we make $1 billion? Okay. Business doesn't work that way. The global economy doesn't work that way. However, we can build our country. We have the tools of the 21st century that allows us to build if we could just only get it into the hands of people. But you have to know what those tools are to explain it to others, to advocate for it. Because if we get, for an example, fintech correctly, we can build 20,000 bed and breakfasts in this town. Grand Bahama 20,000 bed and breakfasts to thrive and flourish based on our population now. 10,000 to break even. How do we get those built for Bahamians to qualify on the instant? I can tell you. We can talk about it. Fintech. In government, they're not there yet. Fintech, reg tech, supervisory tech, property tech, trade fi. We need about 30 laws that needs to be modified or created to get where we are. And I can have that discussion with the best of them. If those laws are created and modified, we could build 20,000 bed and breakfasts as fast as we could get workers. 100% owned by Bahamians, 100% financed, 100% financing, regardless of age, regardless of credit. And I challenge economists. I challenge the economic officers. I challenge the economic people in this country to a public debate to say it cannot be done. It can be done. I mean, because you don't know how, don't mean it's not, doesn't mean it's impossible. It's like me saying, I don't know how a woman carries a baby, so can't help nobody can have children. You know, doesn't make sense. What I'm saying is, there are individuals in this country and outside of the country. I'm not the brightest crayon in the box, nor the sharpest pencil. But I've learned to seek first to understand before I seek to be understood. I listen, I learn, and my ambition is to become just but one of the collective intelligence of all of us. And yes, we do have a problem of isolationism internationally, but amongst ourselves. A house divided cannot stand. I see, after this by-election, not political parties. I see Bahamians, I see Grand Bahamians building back better, stronger together. Because there's those amongst us, the same ones that Mr. Lincoln Bain, we met here, that understand the issues. We understand our issues individually and collectively, and as activists, and as local government practitioners, and as business people, business owners, and homeowners. We have been individually and collectively working towards a solution. And in spite of government maybe not giving us the attention we need, that has not stopped us from building. Because we don't pronounce and announce it, individually, we all building. This is why they say Grand Bahamians are resilient. We are resilient because no matter what, beyond the politics, we take care of each other. We support each other. Don't mind the red and the yellow shirt. That's just a competition, kind of like a soccer game, like on the 23rd, we'll say you win. See you next time. We ain't stupid. We ain't idiots because we decide to choose one. We choose what we feel is most convincing for us to support. We're not going to vote because somebody tell us to. I know we're stupid because if we don't choose you or this one or that one, then we must be stupid because we don't want nothing. Maybe it is. But Mr. Bain, please, you owe Grand Bahamians an apology for your position of coming here and telling us that we are a community of idiots that did not know or know how to get lights on our roads. That you, like the savior, the messianic person came in out of town, just came in and said, I showed up. And bang, darkness was separated from the light, get light. Potholes was fixed. Government buildings are going to be open. Government docks is going to be built. Fire station and police stations and defense force and housing will be done. There'll be a new gas station in West Grand Bahama. You will have solar energies and all of these different things. And you will have new houses that's going to be built. You will have access to boats to go fishing and do all of these different things. You are incapable of even imagining those things until a coalition of independents showed up. That's what you think of us. Examine. We have built this country, Grand Bahamians, those same individuals from West Grand Bahama, brothers, sisters, aunties, uncles. We celebrate the lives that has been given. We celebrate the shoulders that we stand on today. Whether they are known by the wider Bahamas or not, we know our community. We know the community builders. We know the nation builders. We know the individuals in local government. We know the work they have done with the little they have been provided with. We also understand that we are part of a greater construct. government that has not grown. We also know that even us alone, just because we're aware of it, doesn't change it. We need a wider country to become aware of it. So the collective voices for the change that's needed for all of us is heard. Grand Bahama has been giving instructions on radio and television and otherwise for a long time. We've not been heard. And it's not going to be you screaming because you're not speaking our language. Have you talked to us to understand exactly the environment that you're trying to fix? Do you understand the Hawkesbury Agreement? I know you don't understand West End. You say the longest airport in this region on the country. The West End Airport is 7,000 feet. Grand Bahama Airport is 14 or 15,000 feet. There's an airport in East Grand Bahama that is longer, and some other airports around the Bahamas that is even longer than that. You said you will take back the Crown land for Gin and give it amongst the Bahamians in West Grand Bahama. Well, those of us knows that Gin, maybe for almost 100 years, has not been Crown land. The Queen gave it to, I don't remember the gentleman's name, but it ended up being in the Salmons family, if I'm not correct, 2,000 plus acres. That's not Crown land. It was legally acquired. The other 1,000 or 1,500 acres is questionable and legally being questioned. We can't take back Gin. You can't take back Bahama Bay. You can't, I mean, as a government, someone can, but not you. Government have to justify what it is that they're doing. You just can't arbitrarily repeal the Hawkesbury Creek Agreement and get rid of the Grand Bahama Port Authority. You can't restore the damage that has been done to Bimini. However, we could teach environmental stewardship and have some level of restoration, but we have to know what it is we seek. We can develop free ports so that those individuals in Bimini that is living in the conditions that you may not be aware of, because Bimini hasn't grown in housing. In fact, the Bahamas is 80,000 housing units short, and we need 2,600 units per year just to stand in place. For those who are seeking leadership, they should know these things. I didn't make these up. This information is right there, available in the public. I have conversations on these things, not pies in the skies, not imaginary exploitation. But again, this is what the apology that I seek to all of the hardworking, industrious families on this island that has been working for decades to restore where we have been. We know where we've been. We know where we are. We know where we want to go to. And without that apology, soon after your nomination or whatever it is that they do tomorrow, we're going to have a conversation concerning that because I'm insulted. I'm insulted as an activist, as a community person, as a person that is actively involved in not getting a government dock and getting a multifunctional dock built in West Grand Bahama and getting a compound through a PPP that allow the defense force, the police force, housing, ambulatory care, fire station to be built. That's coming. To actually have a grid, a smart grid in West Grand Bahama and solar energy. Conversations already been had with solar companies, international global solar companies. If you want to see it, you can. Just because it isn't public doesn't mean it isn't happening. The seawall, that is being explored. Not just talking about it, I can give detailed, verifiable information concerning a seawall that's being proposed for West End and a boardwalk with businesses and where you can walk on the seawall and restoration of the mangroves as part of the marine protected area. 3.5 miles of seawalls. Measure it. Try Google Earth and measure it. It's already been measured. The cost has already been calculated. Even how to pay for it. Utilizing some unique financing so it doesn't come back to government, because the seawall can be built as part of an economic puzzle, economic solution. Because we're not thinking of dependence on government. We're thinking about building back better, stronger together. And so we're asking that, it isn't the fact that you promise, it's like you just totally attacked us. And what do we do? You don't hear the other candidates saying that we are so stupid that we didn't even know these things, that they had to do it for us. It's like you came in, I understand, showboating. Like, y'all couldn't do anything. We did it for you. But we have listened to you, and you're unaware of us. You're unaware of our problems. I'm beginning to believe that the only reason you found Grand Bahama is because the pilot knew where he was going. I really do. Not with the attitude you have, not with the things you're repeating. If those individuals you have on the side of you is telling you these things, then you should dismiss them. They don't know what they're talking about. And I know them personally. They are clueless. For individuals that's supposed to live here, they might be sitting under some tree that should tell you they're not actively involved in bringing about the solutions and understanding the problems in our country and our community. So how could you take advice from them? Because clearly you don't know. I remember when you were standing next to the guy and you asked him, how long that gas station been there? The gentleman that sells gas in West Grand Bahama. And he said, a couple of months. For those of us in West End, I grew up in West End. Crazy gone. It wasn't because we were crazy. They now know because we were so smart. We were the geniuses. But it's a thin line between crazy and insanity. Maybe some of us actually cross over and come back. But that's where I grew up. Went to Western Old Age School and Hawksville High School. With Chicago Line, I think he was a year or two behind me, and others from Grand Bahama. The great Gilbert Morris that we talk about, and other people. You'd be surprised. You should check out who's from Grand Bahama, who sits in the corporate world, who sits in governance, who sits in banking, and locally and internationally. We're not idiots. We're aware of what we have to do. We're also aware of our capabilities based on the environment we're in. We also understand the limits of government. And we understand that we are going to build this community with or without government. That's why we want individuals who can listen to us, not tell us what's good for us. Imagine going to the doctor, walking in the door, suffering from a headache, and he tells the nurse to just take out that, prep him for an appendix removal. Hold on, doc. I just have a migraine headache. What do you mean an appendix removal? Oh, I didn't talk to you. I didn't understand what your problem was. Sorry. Talk to us. The Coalition of Independence and Lincoln Being apologize to the individuals who have been agitating for those lights, who have been agitating for those snake guys in the roads, who have been agitating for the fluorescent lighting going down to Western and Grand Bahama, who have been agitating for home repairs, who have been agitating for garbage removal and more parks, who have been asking how could we build community centers, how could we exploit the new 1 gigawatt fiber system that's in all of West Grand Bahama and the south side of Grand Bahama. Yes, we are the most digitally wired, 1 gigabyte to the premises in West Grand Bahama right now, to every home, to every business. Do we have leadership that understand what that is? Do we have leadership to understand the digital entrepreneurship that put dozens, if not hundreds of individuals into businesses today, utilizing the device in their hand? Do they understand the orange economy, as they so often reference, that Ms. Tennille Burroughs, I'm sure she should mention this on her trail. She lives it. The orange economy. Are they aware of the green economy and the role it plays in Grand Bahama? The impact of Hurricane Ali? Are they aware of the aquamarine economy? that's designed by one Eden Mary Johnson, and I must brag, my wife. Are they aware of the ocean economy, the impact on how we could get involved, the climate economy? Are they aware of the carbon economy? We hear people throw these words around. We're looking now for leadership who can break it down, tell us the ecosystem, tell us how it could be built. There's people amongst us that knows exactly how to build a climate economy, exactly how to build the carbon economy, the blue economy, the aquamarine economy, the orange economy, the ocean economy, the green economy. We know how to build these. We just need the ecosystem. We just need the regulations. We just need the legislations. We just need the policies, the procedures, the program, and the processes to be put in place. And then get out of our way so we could build a better Bahamas, beginning with Grand Bahama. We have room for all of you. In fact, we welcome you. We need economies of scale. And so there's another conversation I have concerning why it's important for Grand Bahama, but there will be no economic growth. Repeated by Perry Glasgow Christie, Hugh Alexander Ingram, Hugh Alexander Minnis, and Mr. Philip Davis. It's listed. These are documented. They saying, as goes Grand Bahama, so goes the Bahamian economy. So you saw the neglect going back to 2000 or 2001 for Grand Bahama. Have not the economy of the Bahamas also declined, just as they said? Build Grand Bahama, build the Bahamas. And the greatest population on Grand Bahama lives in West Grand Bahama and by extension Bimini. Oh yeah, and you guys over there in TCI too, we gonna count y'all. And one day I'm gonna come back and annex y'all because y'all gonna want to be part of this new Bahamas. My good friend and former co-host, the Deputy Prime Minister, Minister of Finance, Mr. E.J. Sanders. We appreciate it. I admire what y'all are doing there, the order, the organization, and the structure that you bring in. We're going to outcompete you and outperform you. We look forward to competing in a friendly way. Cooperation, we can enhance you and you're going to enhance us. But I thank you guys for listening to my rant. And I hope you share this with Mr. Lincoln Bean and the Coalition of Independents and tell them they owe activists, advocates, business leaders, and local government practitioners on Grand Bahama an apology for the alluding to us being community of idiots, another group of COI. We're not. We're aware of who we are. We're aware of the problems we have. And we also know that government is not our solution. We are. We also know that we are government. Government is not something that exists without us. We are government. We also know that as soon as this charade and pageantry is over, regardless who wins, we're going to take our island back. Long after you and the others and whoever lose, it's only going to be one winner. Actually going to be two, because we're going to win as an island. We will win as an island. Because whoever wins, it's not going to be a party. I'll hear it. Because in 3 years, we'll purge them all. But after I hear the plans and being able to question the competency of it, don't have to come directly from the candidates, because the candidates will not act in isolations. That candidate is not going to change Grand Bahama. Legislation, policy, programs, procedures, and see, I'm going to write the fourth one again. And regulations, and the other 4P. It's always 4P. I always remember it, but somehow I had a long day. I've been tired. Thank you all for listening in. I promise you, we'll have a conversation beyond politics. Maybe once or twice a week, we'll have one to talk about politics. That's the current subject. But I want you now to like my page, follow me. You'll find all my other platforms at alancjohnson.com. I will update them. Follow me on Twitter, follow me on Facebook, follow me on TikTok, follow me on Instagram, Follow me on Pinterest. Follow me wherever I am. You have questions, I invite you. Alan, can you explain this? Can you explain exactly what tokenization is? Can you explain what digitization is and how I and we can benefit? Can you explain the new economic models? Can you explain what the blue, the green, the orange, the aquamarine economy is? Can you explain all of these different things? I'd be happy to. Not just through myself, but also by inviting experts. If you want to appear and have a conversation with me concerning the need for energy security in this country, because again, that's a whole subject of ourselves. Not the stuff that's been running around being said. Not this stuff of, oh, we just gonna buy solar panels and all that stuff. That's pure garbage. Garbage juice. It's garbage juice. We need an organized pathway into the future. We need a 1-year plan, a 5-year plan, a 10-year plan, a 100-year plan. And every January 1st, we need a 1-year plan, a 5-year plan, a 10-year plan, and a 100-year plan, and be adjusted every January. We will never go a year without having a 1-year plan, a 5-year plan, a 20-year plan, and a 100-year plan. Every year we have those because we adjust, pause, see where we are, see where we progress, and where to be. We're going to have conversations on inclusivity. We're going to have a conversation on equity. Now, this equality garbage they're talking about. See, equality is, if I have $1 million and you have $10, you say, let's give Xiaoling another $1 million and give you another $1 million. So now I have two, and you know where equity is, so we give you what you need. You know, this equality thing, we have a conversation between equity and equality. We're going to have a conversation in context, not of emotionalism, not in politics, as a unified country. That's my commitment to you. We'll have a conversation about business. How do you start a business in a new global environment without borders? The borders have been torn down. We can have a conversation on the policy we need for immigration, why we need to limit unskilled workers, limit the number of individuals that is granted entry into our country, and we're going to have a limit on citizenship. Citizenship should not be a gift. Do you know the only difference between a residency and a citizenship and a citizen is the right to vote? My question to you is, if I give you all rights and privileges in my house, exactly that I have, my children have, why do you want the right to change it? That's what voting is. Voting is consent to change that which you're enjoying, maybe even for your benefit. We got to be mad. We're giving it away. Singapore and the rest of them, they live in a country of 2 million citizens and about 4 million foreigners. They don't worry about their citizenship being threatened, but ours is, because they have sensible immigration laws, sensible citizenship policies to protect that. Not every day just live here for 10 years and make an application to become a citizen. What type of madness? What skill set you have? What value can you add to us? Wait a minute. I gave you a job to do something and you said I worked for you long enough that I should have the same rights as you as the owner? That's madness. We're going to have that conversation concerning immigration reform. We're going to have that conversation on land reform. Where we talk about, I want my crown land. Most of you can't even comprehend of taking a sovereign wealth fund, taking 100,000 acres. No, let's use a smaller figure that most of you will probably understand. If you just take out your calculator, right, and take 10,000 acres, and let's put a value of 50,000. Let's go. No, you know, individuals in this country, they make millions of dollars per acres in this country in the exotic resort, right? Let's go 10,000 acres, 10,000 acres, right? Let's times it that we only make $10,000 an acre, okay? And let's times it by 20 years, okay? That's $2 billion. We got millions of acres of land. I'm saying just let's take 10,000 acres and put it in a sovereign wealth fund and develop it, right? And if we're so stupid that we could only make 10,000, because a lot of people think we're stupid in this town, that we could only make 10,000 while the foreigners are making hundreds of thousands of millions on the same acres, then we could make $2 billion a year. What if we make $100,000 an acre? What if we make $50,000 an acre? Crown land in a sovereign wealth fund is given to sovereign asset management in the same way we gave $1 billion worth of land to Bahama for a $2 billion investment. They say it's $4 billion. That's the value after being built. The value of your house may be 400,000, but you didn't build it for 400,000. You may build it for 200 something thousand, whatever. That's the value. We should have had some ownership in Bahama. We should have some ownership in just giving away the land. They can't build what they have without us. Why are we just giving it away for jobs? Not sitting at home and giving $100,000. We're gonna have a conversation on economic empowerment of ownership and participation in our economy directed. How do you own a bed and breakfast with no money down and it pays for itself? How do you build a bed and breakfast along with your home and the bed and breakfast pays for it? Let's use an example, right? I want you to take $300,000. This is, just off my head, a house, right? A nice 3-bedroom, 2-bath, with a 1-bedroom, 1-bath in your yard or attached to your house. That only needs to be about 600 square feet. Because understand, visitors don't come here to live in an apartment. They live in hotel rooms that are 150, 200 square feet, 300 square feet. I just want you to imagine that you are maybe having a 500 square feet place in your yard with a kitchen and a living room and a dining room and a bedroom and a Murphy bed that they can sleep, another 2 individuals. And let's pretend that you're getting $100 a day for it. And you only rent by the week, 5 days or more. So technically speaking, at 70% occupancy, I think that should be about $30,000 a year you make. Okay. What's the mortgage on a $300,000 house that already include that and built environmentally sound, like a passive home, so that it doesn't. And you put it at $4,000. Well, if you go on the rule of 1%, that's $4,000 a year. I mean, a month, or even for the $300,000 house, that's we're gonna build a lot of them so we can have prices reduction, duty free, and all that other stuff. Because we're gonna build these under the concessions, right? So you have a payment of $3,000 a month. Well, I just said that you make $30,000 just from your apartment. So even if because it's passive home and it costs you another $1,000 a month for utilities, so you have a $3,000 mortgage and a $1,000 payment, but you're making $30,000 from your unit, then it costs you under $1,000 for all of your bills to live in that house, under $1,000 a month, because the house pays for itself. And that's just rough out of my head. What if you, instead of using, in my head, I use a calculation of 6% interest. That's why I came up with that amount. What if we had where a sovereign wealth fund or some sovereign guarantee gives you 2% or maybe no interest? Do you know your payments may drop significantly, that you could own it, but at the same time, those tourists and other people are coming and they're spending money, not the cruise ship passengers to buy trinkets. These are people coming for a week, 4 days, 5 days, whatever, that is pumping money. You have restaurants and tours and these different things. Nobody comes to the Bahamas. 80% of the people come to the Bahamas by air for the beach. That's statistically speaking, that's the truth. Nobody comes to the Bahamas to sleep in your bed. They come to experience who we are. They come to experience our heritage, our culture. They come to experience our environment, our beaches. If that is what they're looking for, then let's have a conversation about doing it. Let's have a conversation about how fintech and other technological advancement around the world allows you to build these things without any significant cost to you. You know, my wife and I most likely don't want to include that into this, but we'll be offering a consultancy service to teach individuals on how they could use these digital tools to become more empowered, to become more owners of this community. And I ain't trying to get the parliament. I ain't telling you if you send me the parliament, I'll do it. I'm just going to just do it. because it's the right thing to do. We're just going to ask for some token so we could pay some lights and feed the kids and catch the bus if we have to. But look for that in a matter of days, because we believe that it's time for ownership. And we're looking for that for leadership. We're not looking to be socialized. We're not looking for giveaway. But I am going to have a conversation concerning our natural resources. I know them all, or most of them. I know what they are. I know where they are. I know what they're used for. I know the quantity we have. I know the environment for which they can be sustained in the billions now. Our natural resources is in the trillions. And I'm not just saying it. I can authenticate it. I'm not like the other people who just say, just believe me, just believe me, just believe me. No. I have to die empty, meaning that others have to know where it is, what it is, why it is, and how to exploit it. I mean, I've made arrangements for people that know. They're just not running around trying to be prime minister. They're aware of what they are. I appreciate them. Like KCX, he knew more than he spoke, But in our conversation, I taught him to be very guarded, because there will always be narcissists and other people who will seek to exploit it, who will exploit the ignorance of others. Now, ignorance is not something that's be ashamed of. Ignorance can be cured. Idiots and stupid people you got to be afraid of. That's why I take it as an insult when somebody considers me a community of idiots. Let me end and giving you this story. Ignorant people, you provide them information, they're cured. Thank you for that information. I didn't know. So you go to an ignorant person and says, if you put your hand in that hole, you will lose it. The ignorant person says, thank you so much for telling me that. I don't want to lose a hand. The stupid person puts one hand in anyway and loses the hand. And you go, oh man, I should have listened to you. So all the 200 people are those that was once ignorant. All the stupid people are the one-hand people. Guess what the idiot is? The idiot is the one who put the other hand in the hole just to make sure he was right. So when you see the no-hand guys, stay away from them. They are the community of idiots, not us. Lincoln Bain, you and the Coalition of Independence owe us hard-working activists, business people, community leaders, and everything an apology. You didn't come here as our Messiah. You didn't save us from darkness. Darkness was not upon the earth and the void of West Grand Bahama before you reach. That place was being built way before you reach here, a decade now. The school, we know why. We know the contracts. We know who's involved with the contracts, and we know how it came there. We also are aware of systems to make sure that it never happens again. But we don't have that conversation because we have midgets with megaphones screaming so loud through those megaphones that those of us that know cannot be heard. Bahamians, let's take the megaphones away from the midgets and let's have a conversation. How do we build back Grand Bahama? Beginning in the West, Grand Bahama, with the leadership we're about to get. How do we build back better, stronger, together? Thank you so much for joining me. Follow me, like I said, on my pages, and we will build back better. We will have a better Bahamas by taking our rightful place in the leadership of the country rather than leaving it to 39 individuals and 16 other individuals in the upper house, 39 in the House of Assembly and 16 in the upper house, to make the decision that we should be making collectively. They should be representative of the collective intelligence of all of us, rather than some slanted ideology for which they cannot explain to you without the paper in the front of them. Thank you once again for joining me, and I look forward to basically having a conversation. You can welcome me back, because we're going to have real talk, real conversations. And I invite your answers. Oh, my telephone contacts through WhatsApp is 825-9700, 242-825-9700. 9700. I'll see if I can edit the bottom of this and put that in there. WhatsApp me, reach out to me, ask my questions. My email is c.allen, ALLEN, .johnson at outlook.com. c.allen.johnson at outlook.com. I'm available to talk to churches. I'm available to talk to community groups. I am extremely available to talk to youth groups. Okay, youth group goes up to 25 or 35. Doesn't matter. I just want to talk to people. It's time for you to be educated and informed. 825-9700, c.allen.johnson at outlook.com. Find me on all of my social media platforms at allencjohnson.com, ALLENCJOHNSON.com. And remember, I am of the Knowles from Long Island, the Johnson from the Berry Islands, I guess by virtue of Eleuthera, the Umbrister, and the Hepburns of Cat Island. See, I'm already part of that collective intelligence. Thank you once again for joining me. See you very soon. And please, Lincoln Bean Coalition of Independence, you could keep your campaign going. Tell us the hows and all that stuff. But stop insulting us. Apologize and then stop insulting us. And if you want to know about West Grand Bahama, talk to us that knows. Thank you so much for joining me here tonight.